Uprisers, hi, it is Tricia LaCroix once again with Sacred Uprising Institute, Awakening the Consciousness of Infinite Love. And today's video is with our energy healer, Teri Stanley. And Teri's going to be talking about learning to forgive yourself. So I'm looking forward to this talk that I get to have with her. And I have found that I get a lot of positive responses about Teri Stanley's video. So I'm excited to share her with you and for her to be part of this platform. At 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so in 1 hour from now, we'll be continuing our series with Dr. Lisa on everyday sacredness. So don't miss that. She will start in an hour. And then tomorrow we once again have our astrologer, Christy, at noon Pacific Standard Time. And then I will be continuing my series, Calling in the One, at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So stay tuned for that for tomorrow. Next week, we're changing up our video series. The teachers will be coming on alternating weeks. And we will be making an announcement for next week's schedule on Monday, so everybody can know when their favorite teacher is going to be talking with us. So as I wait for Teri, I wanted to mention once again about our conference that will be September 18th, 19th, and 20th at Mount Madonna in Santa Cruz, California. You can go ahead and let me add Teri, just 1 second. Okay, there we go. Mount Madonna, you can go check them out at mountmadonna.org, and next week you'll be able to sign up for our early bird registration that you'll be able to save some money on. And right on cue, Teri, you came up, but I can't see your beautiful face. So she must be having some technical difficulties. We have those almost every video, unfortunately. So yeah, my show producer is laughing about it. Okay, so as we're waiting for Teri to come on, let me go back into the conference. So the conference is teachers that you get to meet here on, there we go, Teri, I just added you again. Many of our teachers will be speaking at our conference. So hey Teri, hi.
Hi.
So I'm looking forward to having many of these teachers. You'll get to meet them in person. You'll get to interact with them. Our teachers are going to be having handout and workbooks for you to work along with them to transform your life. So, and Teri will be one of those teachers. How are you?
I'm doing good. Unfortunately, as soon as we connect to the video, it takes over my phone.
Oh.
So I've tried to turn volume down. I don't even have access to volume. So I'm not sure if we're getting that straight.
You're perfect. No, it's perfect. Yes. Yay.
That's awesome. Well, hello and happy Wednesday. How are you?
You know what? And I was saying before you got on, I've received so much positive response about your videos, especially from the millennials. They're loving it. And I got to tell you, you're one of the teachers I can't wait to hear what you have to say, because you break things down so easily and that anybody can understand it, and you can immediately implement these truths into our lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be of service. So today's talk is going to be all about learning how to forgive ourselves. There has been so much emphasis in our society to forgive the other person. And even though I think that's really crucial, that's important, I think that being able to forgive others really starts when we can forgive ourselves. Right. So I wanted to take a couple moments today to kind of go through learning those steps. Of course, when we don't forgive ourselves, we end up carrying around a lot of extra garbage. This is how it comes about. So when we are kids, we learn right when we're two. Two is the magic age. where we're grabbing and we're taking and, oh, don't do that, give it back, say you're sorry. So right away, we're learning from an early age that we've done something
Right.
wrong. Now, how we label that in our subconscious is tricky. Some people labeled it as a shameful experience, and you could tell because kids sometimes I'm sorry, and they have their head down.
Right.
But as we get older, we kind of carry that same conditioning with us, and it feels different to us if we get into an argument with a friend or we did something bad, what we view as bad, we did something wrong. We may view that as, oh no, I've done something wrong, and our body slumps, our head slumps, we start that shame, that guilt. And when we constantly have that, it starts to manifest in different ways as well, because we're carrying this around, and in our subconscious mind, we're thinking we messed
Right.
up, we're wrong, we're bad. And so it could come off as I'm unworthy, I'm not lovable, I'm always wrong, and so it manifests in our body sometimes as depression, anxiety, moodiness. Um, it can also manifest itself in perfectionism. People who are too afraid to do anything wrong, they just want to get everything
Right.
right and get everybody's approval. It could also create intestinal issues. Our stomach is our emotional center in Chinese medicine. And so when we're overly emotional, we could have stomach issues like irritable bowel syndrome. We could have adrenal issues. I mean, the list just goes on. I mean, you understand what
I
I'm
do.
saying. So when we learn to forgive ourselves and not carry around this self-hatred, because that's kind of the same vibration. When we walk around through life and we hold on to these things that we don't forgive ourselves for, it's kind of like the same vibration as a self-hatred.
Right.
And so it creates in us other patterns. We've also learned, some people have learned to punish themselves, thinking that if I punish myself, then nobody else is going to do that. And if I punish myself enough, then these things will go away, these icky feelings, and people will like me. And it's just a subconscious programming that doesn't work. Um, so we go through life thinking that we get this approval from everybody else. And at our basic core, we just want to be loved.
Right. Right.
And so when we go through life and we feel like we're not worthy of love, we cut ourselves off, not only from source, from God, but from everybody else. And we turn that inward. So when we learn to see what we are really in control of, that is to me one of the first steps in learning how to give yourself that self forgiveness. So I've outlined a couple of steps just to help people understand where they can start from the self forgiveness aspect. So the very first thing is learning, what are you in control of?
Hmm.
What part of your environment are you in control of? Well, you're in control of
Right.
you and how you respond to
Correct.
people. And that's it. And so being able to feel comfortable in your own skin, knowing that I'm in control of me and how I feel and how I respond. The second thing to do is to remember you're not a bad person. Nobody is bad.
Right.
We were born these divine children of God.
Right.
So you're not a bad person. You are totally worthy of love. So remembering deep down inside, even though you have these icky feelings, I'm worthy of love. The third thing to do is to put whatever the scenario is that is making you feel this way into proper context. So being able to take out all the emotion and just look at it as a fact, a fact, a fact, a fact. Look at how it all played out. Then you could go ahead and put the emotion into it, but you need to look at the fact first. And then you need to weigh that fact against, is it fact or is it judgment?
Right.
Because sometimes we have a way of labeling our existence as truth when it's actually a feeling or it's a misconception that we have. Um, the fourth thing that I think that you can do is to wake up every morning knowing that you and nobody else has the intention of being a horrible person. We all wake up, we all want to have the same thing. We all want to have a great day. We want to be able to smile and laugh and have joy and experience connectedness with other people. And so when you know that at the core, that's what happens when you wake up, that kind of helps put things into a better perspective in order to forgive yourself. There is a really good book.
No,
Miss Book
you're
Person
costing me
here.
so much money, Teri.
I am a bookaholic, so I will tell you all. My addiction is books.
Yeah, right.
So I do. I do an awful lot of reading, and I don't think I've ever finished all my books from beginning to
Right.
end, but they're great resources, and I just love them.
You
So
should be a
here's
book promoter, because I know myself as well as many others have been going and buying these books. And I'm like, no, not another one.
they, oh, I got two more for you
Oh,
today.
no. All right.
Everyone's going to have to get a book
Right,
allowance.
exactly.
So this one is really good. This one's called Telling Yourself the Truth. So this really, really helps you understand what is truth and where does this truth come from, because a lot of us, like I said, it's not our fault. It's human. It's being human, and you just got to love it and celebrate it. We all have been conditioned. We all view our world a certain way, but it's now as adults, it's being able to come into the picture and saying, oh, I have a choice now. I don't have to take in this information as being golden. I can weigh it against my own scales. So this book really helps you with that negative
Right.
self-talk and really break it down. And who are you comparing this to? So it's all about stopping and telling yourself the truth, which is very helpful, extremely helpful when you're learning to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. And then Louise Hayes has an amazing book, and she goes into detail about this in her day 3. She has a book called Mirror
I
Work,
saw that on
and
Amazon. Okay.
it's a 21 day, every day she gives you a new thing to do. There's a lot of affirmations in it, there's some explanation, but it's a lot of work. So every day you have an exercise that you are to do in front of the mirror. And there are a lot of people, not everybody, but there are a lot of people who have trouble with receiving love.
Mm,
For
yes.
whatever the reason
Yes.
is, there's a
Yes.
lot of reasons.
Yep.
And so being able to handle their own reflection in the mirror is hard. And to be able to look in the mirror and say, I love you, could be torture to somebody. So those are baby steps. She goes through baby steps on how to love yourself, how to get to that point. And people who have suffered a lot of trauma have a lot of difficulty finding that wonderfulness that's in
Right.
them. And those two books are huge, I think, in helping to find that beauty inside.
Right.
They've helped me personally. This book was a game changer for me personally. And so I highly recommend that book. The other one's a good book as well. I haven't read it.
I wanted, you're talking about forgiving yourself. And if I can just take 5 minutes and tell a quick story. I went to Sedona, I believe it was in 2014, and I went with one of my girlfriends, and we decided to go have a reading by somebody that was highly recommended. During the reading, nothing really resonated with me, but one thing she said to me was, you have to forgive yourself for your childhood. And I got offended. And I was like, I didn't do anything. It was all done to me, right? That's what my retort was. And afterwards, my girlfriend, because she had a reading before me, and she and I started talking about it, and some things didn't resonate with her. But I was really stuck on this, that I had to forgive myself for my childhood, and it was bringing up anger in me, which of course means there's some truth there, right? So I was leaving Sedona, and if you've ever been there, it's very emotional when you go to Sedona. There's just a different type of vibration, especially if you're going there for spiritual reasons. And I was leaving, and I was emotional leaving, but I felt something else, that something was wrong. There was so much anger stirred up in me from her saying that I had to forgive myself for my childhood. So I went to a friend's house, and I told her, I said, I need you to work on my chakras because something's wrong. And so I laid there, and as she worked on my chakras, I could hear, she and I both could hear it. She's a spiritualist as well. A child crying. I heard it and she heard it. As soon as I heard it, I started weeping. And she said to me, she goes, do you hear that? And I'm like, that's my inner child. And it was coming from my solar plexus. And in that moment, I understood what she had meant. I needed to forgive myself for living a life that believed that that I deserved to be treated the way that I was treated. I needed to forgive myself for ever believing I wasn't good enough, that I believed that I was unworthy and that I was a mess and I was the troublemaker and I was the one that was always starting, that caused the abuse. I had to forgive myself for that. And as I went through that process of forgiving myself, I actually spoke out loud to my inner child and put my hands on her face and loved her and said, it's okay. You never deserved it. You never deserved, yes, maybe you did something wrong, but you never deserved to be beaten from it. You never deserved to be told that you didn't deserve to be within the family or that you weren't a part of this a beautiful flow of friendships because of something that you did, that you didn't deserve your father's last name. And I then told my inner child, I will never allow this to happen to you again. Here on out, I will protect you. And that was a game changer for me. That changed the course of my life. I went from still having a little sliver of the victim syndrome to not being a victim anymore, of using what had transpired in my life to be a warrior with it. Taking it, and it was the fuel that lit my fire to assist in helping others change their lives. So forgiving myself has been really, really important. And I got to tell you that in my adulthood, there are things that have happened that I have yet to forgive myself for. I'm working on it. And I'm learning to love even those flaws within me, because it's what makes me who I am. And loving that and understanding it. Also understanding to everyone's light is that darkness, to everyone's light is that shadow, and learning to have that balance and being able to dance with it and not fight it and not go to war with it.
And you bring up two really good points. Inner child work, for those of us that had suffered trauma and abuses early on in our life, that inner child work is huge. And if any of you out there have dealt with the traumas of growing up in a family that wasn't conducive to having love, showing love, and being emotionally available, and everything else that abuse incurs, I highly, highly recommend that you find someone to work with you that you can trust, that will help you work on that inner child issues. Powerful. I've done inner child work, and it is amazing.
It's amazing. It was a huge catalyst for me to go through that process.
Yeah, and I'm still working with the inner child. Everybody's different, so how abuse affects people is going to be different. So there's no cookie cutter, there's no shaming. It's like you had said, being able to dance in the light and the dark of who you are without the shame and the guilt. We are who we are. We have our up moments, we have our down moments, but we're still this wonderful being, and we're still capable of love and connection. And it's our God-given right to have these emotions. It's what you do with those emotions that maybe isn't the best thing. So yeah, that inner child work is beautiful, breath work, inner child work, mirror work, telling yourself the truth. These are all keys to loving yourself. So for me, how I look at self-forgiveness is self-love.
Right.
So in order to forgive yourself, you're going to have to probably start learning to take those steps to look at yourself and say, I love you. Find those things that you love without comparing it to everybody else, without worrying about what other people think. Isn't about anybody else. This is about
Right.
you filling up from the inside. Because when you are loving to yourself, then you can give love. It's like that airplane thing, if the oxygen masks fall, you put it on yourself and then you put it
Right.
on your kid. And it's the same thing. You have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to learn to nurture and love yourself and realize that you are just as valuable as everybody else on this planet. But it's part of your life journey to learn that and to find
Yeah,
that.
it's so easy. It's easy for me to look at people, and when they are in a destructive mode, to have compassion, because we understand that, okay, they're reacting this way because they're broken in an area. But we also have to give that to ourselves, is understanding that and giving ourselves compassion as well.
Yeah, giving yourself permission
Hmm.
is huge. So it's different thinking, um, but it's all centered on you. If you could imagine that you have a dog or a cat or a bunny or whatever the animal is, and how you would talk to that animal is really how you should be talking to yourself.
Right.
There's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no nothing, all it is love and compassion. Well, that's what you need to be giving yourself on a daily basis. And when you mess up, you don't shame yourself because you slip back into an old pattern. You just laugh at yourself in an enjoyable way, not as in making fun of, but there I go again. Let's try this again. And then you try to come back at again and give yourself a little bit more love and a little bit more understanding and a little bit more compassion. And the more you do this, the more you find the greatness that's within inside you, the more it'll become a habit. And the more your views on you will shift. And the same thing with your outer world. The more you can forgive yourself and see yourself in love, the more you're able to forgive others, the more you're able to see the love within others. And it's twofold. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's, you can't give to others what you don't give yourself. And that is what
Mhm.
calling in the one is truly about. You have to have it within yourself to be able to gift it to somebody else, whether it's forgiveness, love, compassion, generosity, whatever that may be. You have to have it within. So being able to forgive yourself, it doesn't make, I look at it, forgiving myself, I'm not condoning things that I have done, but I
Oh, yeah.
am loving myself despite it and freeing myself from the weight of the guilt of it.
Right, exactly. So there's one trick that I have learned that really helps when people are stuck and they're
Okay.
having problems. And so, have you heard of tapping?
My third eye. That's it.
So there's this thing called EFT, or emotional freedom
Okay.
technique. And so it's based off of the Chinese meridian
Okay.
system. And so I'm not going to go real deep, but I only wanted to cover the beginning part to it because I think that this is something that's helpful.
Okay.
So if someone's feeling really upset and down on themselves for how they feel, then what you do is this karate chop. And I'm not going to get into the specifics because we're going to use your
Here we
intention.
go.
The intention is that you're doing it right. Okay. So you're just going to tap. And let's say you're feeling really ashamed and awful about something that you did. Okay. And we're going to measure that on a scale between 1 and
Okay.
10. So let's say I'm feeling pretty darn awful. So I'm going to pick a 10. And so you start off by tapping. You take a deep breath in. You're going to exhale. And then you start off, even though I feel, and you insert how you're feeling. It could be a one word or it could be a whole sentence. And then you finish it with, I still totally and completely love and accept myself.
Okay.
You take a deep breath in, exhale. Even though I feel so upset, so ashamed of myself, I still totally and completely love and accept myself. Breathe in, exhale. So you would do that to feel yourself de-escalate. So go from a 10 down to a 5, down to a 2 or a 1.
Is this similar to
With,
EMDR?
no, it's
Okay.
different.
Okay.
It's different, but at least what I know about EMDR, it's different because that has to do with eye motion and other
Well,
things.
you
This
also
is just
use it as
tapping.
paddles in your hand where it's going like that as well now. So they've changed it from the eye to paddles. So that's why I was asking. Okay.
Okay, so I don't know.
Okay.
I can't say that I know, but I know that this is emotional freedom technique,
Wow.
also known as tapping.
Okay.
And and the reason why we start off with this is because it's giving you permission to feel the way you feel and to accept yourself with love and compassion, which sometimes is the very first step that we need to have in order to feel better.
Right. Wow. That's
So I wanted to leave that as my final tip.
well, I'm definitely going to start trying that. That's one I've not heard of. And I mean, anybody can do that throughout the day when they're in their moments when they need to step back. And whether you close your office door or you're in your car with your kids or, you know, whatever it may be, it's very easy to go and take that deep breath and to practice that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Teri, I want to share your
Yeah.
information. What is it that you offer clients, and how can our audience get in contact with you?
What I offer clients is one-on-one sessions. I give a free consultation. It's about a 20-30 minute free consultation so I can assess where you are and if I can help you. And then what I do is I work one-on-one. I can work remotely, just like
Right.
this, through video, through phone, or you can come to my home office if you live locally. And we go ahead and we take steps. We outline where you are, where you want to go. We work through whatever it is that the issue is at hand. So everyone's different. We work with a lot of energy, a lot of reframes. I see patterns, so I see where things started, and we work through how to change those things to get to where they are feeling more hope, more joy, more confidence. Um, I can be found on teristanley.net, and that's TERI Stanley.net. And what was your other question? Was that it?
And of course, people can go ahead and follow her on Facebook as well. I know when you and I spoke, and the first time you and I spoke, you had recommended, you had said that you also make recommendations depending where somebody is on how many sessions that they should have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct as well?
That is correct. So I use this really cool tool called muscle testing, and we tap into your subconscious mind, your energy. Your subconscious mind knows exactly what's wrong. It knows exactly where you hurt,
Right.
how you hurt, why you hurt, and it knows exactly how to get you undone. So, or get you to the place that you want to be.
Right.
So, yes, I would use muscle testing to get an average on how well how many sessions you are going to
Okay.
need. So that's just a guide.
Okay.
It's not always correct because when people get it in their mind that I don't need that many, well, their mind is very powerful and they don't need that many.
Right. Right. Exactly. I love videos with you. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And thank you, Teri, so much for sharing this wisdom with us, and also the books. We'll go through and we'll put links to the books in case anybody wants to order those on Amazon. So thank you so much. And Teri, I can't wait. I know next week you're going to be talking about the chakras, which is really exciting. So can't wait to hear.
Yeah, so I'm going to do like a chakra 101, I think is what I'm going to do.
Great, great. Okay, looking forward to that. Well, until next week, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Happy
Okay, all
Wednesday.
right, bye-bye.
Bye.